Hello and welcome to another session 0 for season 4. I'm here at the table with Reagan and it's time to make a character. So Reagan, we just talked about what character you want to make and we've narrowed it down to Ranger, and you were thinking either half-orc or Dragonborn.
Yeah.
Because you like them.
Because they're ugly. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So we're going to start off by rolling. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to roll 4d6. Actually, I'm going to write down the numbers. So give me the pencil. You focus on the rolls. I'll write down the numbers. And ready, set, go. Okay.
4, 2, 3, 2.
4, 3, 2, 2. Next. Nice. 6, 6, 4, 4. That's a good roll.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Higher is better. 5, 4, 4, 3. Okay.
Oof, that was a bad roll.
Yeah, but that's okay. That could be one of your rerolls. Okay, go. I'll explain that in a minute. You got 2 more. 6, 4, 4, 3. And last set.
Ooh.
Wow, that is the all-time winner for definitely re-rolling. All right, so in my system, you get to pick 2 sets. If they have 1s, you can re-roll the 1. So obviously, but then also this. Let's do this one first. So roll 1 die to replace this 1. And if you roll 1 again, you get to re-roll. Okay, 5. That's awesome. All right, now roll 3 die.
I got another
6,
1.
4, and then re-roll that other 1.
Another
Re-roll the 1. 4. See? That turned into a pretty stellar thing. So now you take the highest 3 from each set. 4, 3, 2, 9. 6, 6, 4 is a nice 16. That's a great roll. 5, 4, 4 is a 13. 5, 4, 2 is an 11. 6, 4, 4
14.
is a 14. And 6, 4, 4 is also a 14. So you have some very nice rolls to start off with. Now, as a ranger, you must make a choice because rangers have specialties, basically. And that the specialty it doesn't define everything about them, but it gives them a lot of buffs, yes. So when you choose a fighting style, you can choose between archery, which we talked about being cool. Defense, which is while you're wearing armor, you gain a +1 bonus to AC. That's kind of lame. Dueling, now dueling I like. When you're wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons. So you can have like a weapon and a shield. Mm-hmm. You get a +2 bonus to your damage rolls with that weapon. When you attack with 2-weapon fighting, you can add your modifier ability to the damage of the second attack. So that basically you can have like a light weapon in your left hand and your main weapon in your right hand. So it's 2 attacks.
Okay.
So what are you feeling?
I know we talked about 2-weapon fighting probably being good for a half-orc.
Well, okay, so if you're looking at Dragonborn or half-orc, Dragonborn's
uglier, but I like half-orc more.
Okay, so let's look at the pros and cons. So Dragonborn get an ability score boost on top of where your rolls are. For strength, they get a +2, and charisma, they get a +1.
Do I even have charisma as a...
Everybody has charisma.
Okay.
Now, does it matter? Not so much. They get damage resistance, and they get a breath weapon based on their being from some kind of dragon thing. Half-orcs also fit your ugly category criteria. Yes. They get a strength and a constitution bonus. Those would probably be more helpful as a ranger. Okay. You get dark vision, which is good. You can see in the dark. You get savage attacks. When you score a critical hit with a melee weapon, you can roll one of the weapon's damage dice 1 additional time and add it to extra damage. You're just more savage, literally. It says the word savage.
Okay, so then I'm going to go with half-orc.
Yeah, so a half-orc ranger could be cool. All right, so now we're going to assign these.
Okay.
So if you're doing 2-weapon fighting, you want to have some strength, right? You know you're going to get that bonus. So maybe you put your 16 into strength and that becomes an 18, right? So go ahead and write 18 in that box.
Okay.
That's super fly cool. All right, then your next highest roll.
Why don't we just do this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, good call.
Okay.
All right, so then you got 2 14s, which are really good.
Okay.
I would put a 14 into dexterity. Yes, good call. So you could still do archery, by the way. Just because you're like, no, seriously, just because you choose two-weapon fighting as your fighting style doesn't mean you can't do archery. So
Okay.
you could have a bow slung over your shoulder and have like a sword.
Could that be one of my weapons?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You could be cross their rangers are very proficient.
Sweet.
All right. Another important attribute for rangers is wisdom. So you definitely want to put your 14 in wisdom. The other one.
And
Wisdom affects your perception. So imagine if you're like tracking something, you know, or you're like scouting. You guys are traveling through the dark woods and you like hear like a twig snap, you know. You want to have perception so you don't get surprise attacked. You don't get ambushed. You don't walk into a trap.
right.
Okay, so those are good attributes. Then the 13, if you put that in Constitution, because you're a half-orc, that becomes a 14. So go ahead and write 14 into Con.
Do I get anything plus because I'm a ranger?
No. You do at 4th level, but we'll get there.
Okay.
All right, so that leaves Intelligence and Charisma. You said you wanted to be ugly.
Yes.
Now, physical appearance doesn't necessarily matter. Charisma is more about the force of your personality. So by putting a 9 in Charisma, it just means you're not a very persuasive person, or maybe you're grumpy, or you're just quiet.
Okay. I do that.
Okay. And then that leaves your 11 for Intelligence.
Don't we want to be really intelligent as a ranger?
It doesn't affect you as much as Wisdom.
Okay.
Intelligence, think of intelligence as your intellect, like your book smarts.
Oh,
Wisdom is your instincts.
Okay,
You
'cause-
want to have
yeah.
your instincts guiding you.
Intelligence doesn't really matter when it's weapons.
Right. So for your abilities. All right. So other things that we're going to write down. Okay. So first of all, up there, class and level, write down Ranger 6. We're starting at 6th level.
Is that
And
cheating
then-
that I don't start at level 1?
No, because the campaign is set there. All right. For speed, write down 30. Okay. And then down here, write down dark vision 60 feet. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of stuff to write down there.
Okay.
Then, as a half-orc, you have menacing. And I will tell you how to indicate that. Menacing gives you free proficiency in the intimidation skill. So see these skills?
Yes, sir.
You're going to fill in the circle next to intimidation. Fill that in. Okay? When you have a dot filled in something, it means you have proficiency in it, which means you're better at using it than just like an average schmo.
Okay.
But even if you don't have proficiency in something, you could still try to use that skill.
Okay.
It just means you're not as good in it. This is the huge one. Relentless endurance. Write that down. Relentless endurance. Half-orcs are tough. So, when you're reduced to 0 hit points but you're not killed, you can drop to 1 hit point instead.
So I just get to go 1 up.
Yeah, basically it's like a get out of death free card one time.
Okay. One time.
And then
in
you
the
have to
round?
finish a long rest,
Okay.
which is like an 8-hour rest. But that's pretty cool.
Oof.
So like if we're in a combat and you'd normally get knocked to less than 0 and you'd be unconscious, you can choose Relentless Endurance to stay in the game.
Okay.
Now you're at 1 hit point.
That's awesome.
All right, next one is also huge. Savage attacks. Write that down. Savage.
Yes.
And then underneath it in parentheses, just write crit, C-R-I-T. Crit is short for critical.
Oh.
Crit equals 1 extra damage dice. So let's say you roll a crit and then you're like, all right, I got 8 damage. Well, you as a half-orc, because of Savage, you get to do that. So now you're like, I did 14 damage. See what I mean?
A.
It's pretty cool. All right, languages. Down here, write down languages, : You speak Common and Orc. O-R-C.
Yep.
Okay. So that pretty much covers your orcness. Now, let's flip over to Ranger. Rangers get kind of a little bit of a lot of different things. They can be very stealthy. They can also be great fighters. And even in some cases, they can have healing abilities.
Sweet.
So they're a very all-around kind of thing. So they get 1d10 for hit points. You are going to have, for the first 5 levels, your Constitution bonus is going to give you 2, so that's 12 times 5 is 60. And then for level 6, you're going to roll. So don't write anything down. Just roll that. Okay, so 7. So you have 67 hit points. So right up here where it says hit point maximum, write 67 and like draw a box around it. That's pretty good. All right, then you're gonna fill in the circles in the saving throws box for strength and dexterity. That means that you have proficiency with strength and dexterity, which is also good. I'll explain that in a minute. While we're speaking of proficiency, where it says proficiency bonus, write +3 at 6th level. Okay, now we're going to fill in the modifiers. When you get to 4th level, Rangers get an ability score improvement, which you would put into your strength. So your strength is going to be, well, yeah, put that in your strength. So that's a 20. Erase 18 and make it a 20.
This eraser's fast.
Now, we're going to fill in all those. So in the little circles underneath, write the following. +5, that's a massive boost to strength. +2 for dex. +2 for con. 0 for intelligence. You don't get anything either way. +2 for wisdom. And -1 for charisma. That's your dump stat. All right, now what we do then is we're going to fill in some of these blanks, but we can do that kind of off camera. But you can determine a couple more things. So your initiative is going to be +2. Write that in your initiative. Oh, also write half orc for your race.
What if I want to be a full orc?
Okay, but
Is that a thing?
yeah, it is a thing, but we're not going to actually do that. You could just pretend you are.
I was just wondering if that was a thing.
It is a thing.
Okay.
But there's a book that has the stats for how to do that, and I don't have it handy with me right now.
No biggie, just wondering.
All right, so one more thing. Before we start filling in all those other things, every character has a background. And a background is basically like, kind of like how you grew up,
Yeah.
what you learned along the way, you know, where you come from,
Could I
that
have
kind
been
of
like
stuff.
an orc prince, but like a bastard orc prince?
Yes.
Because like I'm half orc.
Yes.
And then they were like, yo, like.
That would be the
we-
noble background.
And then all of my siblings were like, yo, like, we hate you because you're a bastard. And then I got kicked out of the family. They try
Okay.
to try to kill me in the woods.
All right, so there's several options.
Okay.
If you wanted the noble background,
Yeah.
that means you grew up in nobility and you still have some kind of noble rank. Like you have a signet ring, you have like your, you know, your, what's it called? Scroll of pedigree, like your paperwork that proves that you're like a legit noble.
Mm-hmm.
You could take that, but then add in your backstory, like you said, where like your family doesn't like you, but you're still, you know,
Yeah.
noble. Or you could flip the script and say you were born noble, but then your family kicked you out and now you become an outlander.
Yeah, that's more what I was thinking.
Or, okay, here's another thing. What if you were born noble, but because you're, you know, or not born noble, like maybe your human side is noble, but like because you're half orc and half noble, they're like, get out. So you hit the road, and on the road, you learned how to be an entertainer.
No,
You
because I
joined a
have no
traveling
charisma.
circus.
I have no charisma. That would make no sense.
Yeah.
That would make no sense.
No?
That just would make
Or you got kicked out of your family and you became a criminal. See what I mean? See, that's where I could pick any one of these things. Or you got kicked out of your family and you went to live in a temple and the nice priest there adopted you. See, that's the acolyte. So the cool thing in D&D is that, like, really you could come up with a way for any of these backgrounds to fit.
I want to do Outlander, I think.
Outlander?
Right there.
There might be one more that you like. What about Soldier? What if you were the bastard of a nobleman
And then I had joined the army.
and they basically sent you out to the army?
Okay.
And you,
What's
you
Urchin?
learned. Urchin's like a street kid. You could be that too. Like basically you grew up on the street. That totally makes sense.
That all makes sense.
Hmm.
Am I still a soldier? Or is that just my past?
It's up to you. You could be like on leave,
Like
or maybe you just
like,
deserted.
what if midway through the game I get called to go serve?
Maybe you do.
That would be an L.
I can make your soldiering part of the story. I can make an urchin part. I can make anything part of the story. Oh, there's also sailor. I forgot about that too. Like if you didn't want to be
An orc on the ocean kind of sounds like a bad mix. So I'm gonna go with. Okay, what do you think? Outlander or soldier?
hermit, entertainer, no, folk hero. Soldier or outlander? Well, there are pros and cons. Soldier would tie in well with your ranger, but so could outlander. Either one of them.
Which one will make me a better warrior? Probably soldier,
Neither
right?
one. Backgrounds don't necessarily. The only thing you get with a background, every background comes with some things that you get. So, like, usually some proficiencies, maybe some knowledge of how to use tools.
Ooh, okay.
And then also, like, if you pick Outlander, you get athletics and survival. You get a musical instrument and an extra language. And then you get the feature of Wanderer, which means you have a really good recall for maps and geography,
Okay.
which works fine with your character concept.
Okay, then we'll do Outlander. That sounds
Okay,
fine.
so write down Outlander up there for background. And now you're going to fill in the circles next to athletics and survival.
Where?
So athletics, and then down in the bottom, survival. Okay, you also get a tool, a musical instrument proficiency, and you get an extra language. So add in one more language. You can have Elvish, you can have,
Which one's used most in the game?
they're all used. Depends on what region of the continent you're on.
Which one's the biggest region?
The biggest, well, but even in the regions, there's like mixed races.
Okay, then
Okay, fine, Elvish.
Okay, thanks.
There. You can choose your musical instrument later. And then you have the feature of Wanderer. So write down Wanderer, maps, geography. That's good enough. So basically, you can also, this adds in really well to your ranger stuff. In addition, you could find food and fresh water for yourself and up to 5 other people each day, provided that the land offers
Food.
resources.
Yeah.
So that works really well.
Do I write that down?
I mean, you can.
Plus
Food and water.
5.
All right. So this leaves 3 skills that you get to choose as a ranger from this list. So it says choose 3 from animal handling, athletics, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival. You already have, from your background, athletics and survival. So you get to choose 3 more. You wanted to be stealthy, right? That's what you said. Mm-hmm. So fill in stealth. You definitely want to have perception. That's like a no-brainer.
Okay.
Which leaves a choice of animal handling, insight, investigation, or nature. What are those? Animal handling would be like riding horses to training dogs or falcons or anything. For rangers, that might be a cool thing.
Right.
Like, do you want to have a pet that follows you around, that helps you on the hunt?
Nah, I'm good by myself.
Okay.
I'm a lone ranger.
Okay. Do you, insight? Insight is, so perception's kind of like your physical senses, your awareness of what's around you. Insight is your ability to read people. Like their motivation, their intent, whether or not they're telling the truth.
Okay, I'll do that. That
Insight?
sounds good. That sounds good.
Okay.
Especially I'll do that since my charisma's at an all-time low.
Yeah. So, Then you get another cool thing. Okay, at first level, you get to choose a favored enemy. And this is a type of creature who, when you come across them, or if you're tracking them, you're better at dealing with this one kind of enemy than
Okay.
you are with any of your other enemies.
All right.
And actually, you get to choose 2
Oh, sweet.
because you're at 6th level.
Okay, well, since I
So,
speak...
aberrations, beasts, celestials, constructs, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, giants, monstrosities, oozes, plants, and undead.
Do we come across a lot of undead?
There are undead. From where you're going to be coming, giants would definitely be one good one
Okay.
to put.
I'll do giants. And then,
So, write down favored enemies, colon, giants, and undead.
Pretty raw.
And undead's pretty big. That's like skeletons and zombies, all the way up through like vampires and ghosts.
Okay.
It's any of the undead. All right, next thing, natural explorer. Write that down. Write down page 91, because I'm not going to make you write down this whole thing. You're just going to have a book open all the time. A smart player learns what their class can do. And there's a bunch of cool things that you can do as a natural explorer. You're going to choose a region, which I'll help you with, but basically it gives you advantages anytime you're in that region. You're like the best in the party at that thing.
Okay.
All right, fighting style is 2-weapon fighting. So write down fighting style, 2-weapon fighting. Okay, now flip over, to this. You have spells. So write down Ranger up there, spellcasting class.
Okay.
Your spellcasting ability is Wisdom. Your spell save DC is 13. Your spell attack modifier is +5. Okay. So we'll get into your spells probably off camera. Flip back to your main sheet. So I'll show you what these options are, but basically Rangers have archetypes. Like when they hit a certain level, when they hit 3rd level, they pick an archetype. So you're either like a hunter, a beastmaster. There's a few more that are in another book. I'm going to suggest you go with hunter based on what we talked about. Yeah. So on the 2nd page, right here, write down hunter, colon. Now, there are 3 things that you can get as a benefit for being a hunter. Colossus Slayer, which is you can wear down, your tenacity can wear down the most potent foes. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, the creature takes an extra 1d8 damage if it's below its hit point maximum.
Yeah, that sounds good because I do 2 weapons, right?
Yeah, or Giant Killer. When a large or larger creature within 5 feet of you hits or misses you with an attack, you can use your reaction to attack that creature immediately after its attack. Then there's Horde Breaker. Once on each of your turns, when you make a weapon attack, you can make another attack with the same weapon against a different creature that is within 5 feet of the original. So see, each one of those is kind of cool. Colossus Slayer is pretty cool. But remember that even though you're doing 2-weapon fighting, only your main attack gets the Colossus Slayer. So in other words, anytime you're fighting a creature who's wounded, so if you go up to a creature that's fresh and you attack the first time and you're the first person to do damage, you don't get that extra 1d8 damage. But after it's been wounded, even if it's just like a little bit scratched, then you get to just slam it. So it's kind of cool. So maybe write down Colossus Slayer, 1d8 extra.
Are we sure we don't want to do Giant Killer?
Well, that's up to you. This means, though, that Giant Killer is cool if you're fighting large creatures.
This will work for anybody.
This works for anybody.
Okay, I'll do that. Hunter, Colossus,
Slayer.
Slayer.
And just write down extra 1d8 damage. Well, we're going to finish this off camera, but basically, you're very close to being ready. So the next time you see Reagan, we'll be at the big table. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Bye.